I'm interested in this one because I think this could be the one that's left that we could veer off. Oregon getting 2.5 points. I was shocked when this opened up. I thought they'd be favored. I was wrong. Versus Ohio State, over under here is also 55, which is very interesting because I think this game is a way different dynamic than the game we just talked about. I will also let you start out with this game, Matt. What are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, I'm shocked that these games have the same over under as Georgia Notre Dame. I think with what these offenses have been in recent games, what we've seen against good competition. I mean, you just saw, what was the final score of that? Most people tuned out of the Tennessee. They put up a 40 spot on Tennessee,
42-17 or 41-17?
42-17, yeah. Like they were just doing whatever they wanted against Tennessee. Obviously, I think Oregon is a better team than Tennessee, and it's not going to be played in Columbus. But I was a little surprised, like you, to see, even though it's kind of funny, I guess talking out of both sides of my mouth, I do feel like Ohio State is a better roster, is probably a more complete team. But I still expected Oregon to be favored. But I mean, I guess maybe the public feels like I do, and they kind of see that brand of Ohio State. But I seeing how they used Jeremiah Smith last week, like Jeremiah Smith is an absolute freak of nature, like maybe the best receiver in college football right now. If he left for the draft, he would probably be the first receiver taken this year in the 2025 draft. Like that dude is just a freak. He's an NFL ready right now. And you saw them have, they didn't just run all over Ohio against Tennessee, but Tennessee's a really good run defense. But Travion Henderson had 80 yards in that game. They just moved the ball so much. Like this Ohio State offense is just so dynamic, and the defense, they feel like this kind of feels like a vintage Urban Meyer team. Like I always say, like if I could choose any coach in college football to run my program, it's Nick Saban, right? But if I only have to have one game, I'm taking Urban Meyer, because there's just something about these Ohio State teams that if it's just a one-game season and they're going to be up for it, they seem to sleepwalk through some of their non-important games sometimes. But when all the chips are on the table and everything, Ohio State seems to come out and play their best ball. Like, I don't know what happened against Michigan. I don't know. I can't explain that. But I feel like when the Ohio State-Oregon game, the first one ended, the second that game ended, I've kind of thought these teams are going to play again, and I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State won. Like, obviously, it ended the way it did, a little controversial. Also, Dan Lanning getting away with I don't know if I'm going to call him a cheater, but basically kind of cheating with that 12 man on the field. And so you've already seen a rule change because of that. So I just feel like, and the pass interference on Jeremiah Smith late in that one, that moved Ohio State back. It just feels like, to me, Ohio State is the better team. I feel like I almost feel bad for Oregon, because it kind of feels like they're in a position that like a lot of Georgia teams have been in the past, or even like being an Atlanta Braves fan. It's like, even when we had the best record, it's like people are still picking the Dodgers and the Yankees, right? It's like they're the sexier team. Oregon has been the best team in college football all year, but there's something about them that I feel like we haven't seen their weak moments. Like we saw a Wisconsin game that they escaped late, but that's basically it, other than the Boise State game early on. But that was so early in the season. I feel like we kind of throw that out a little bit. It almost feels like, obviously, the fact they haven't had bad performances is a good thing, and it reflects well on them. But I almost feel like they haven't had to win not playing their best game. And Ohio State's just kind of had different, varying performances throughout the year, and they feel a little more battle tested. I think their conference schedule was a little bit tougher this year. I think, and now coming off that win over Tennessee, I just think the things are trending in the right direction for Ohio State. So I'm going to take Ohio State to win and cover. But the 55, yeah, I'm thinking it's something like what is 31-24? Is that exactly 55 points? Yeah, maybe this one gets into the 30s. The Vegas makes money for a reason, right? I'm right around, I'm thinking the same thing with these over-unders, but I'll take the over and Ohio State to win this one.
Yeah, so this game's weird to me because I agree. I think Ohio State is the more talented team, but I think the weaknesses of the roster can be perfectly exploited by this Oregon team. Because if you can block Ohio State up front, which let's be honest here, most teams that I live in Ohio, so I watch a lot of Ohio State football. Their defensive line, I've said for a while, has been one of the most overrated units in the country because JTT and Jack Sawyer are not who people want them to be. They had a phenomenal game in that Tennessee game. It was Jack Sawyer's best game of his career by far. I think JTT was in his top 5. Do I think they play to that level again versus Oregon? Absolutely not. Oregon is a top 5 offensive line in the country. That is something Dan Lanning has done a great job at rendering there at Oregon and creating. I just don't see them playing to that level. I will say this. Oh, that was the first A performance by any football team I have seen all year. I have not seen a team go from kickoff to finish at playing their A game. That was the first game I've seen of any college football team doing that. So very impressive for Ohio State. Do I think they do it again? No, because one, I think right after that Michigan game, there was an anger and a drive for that team to do exactly what you saw. And there was listen, guys, body language and stuff like that is weird. To me, they were celebrating way too much after that Tennessee game. They should have treated that like, hey, we won running next. They were smoking cigars on the sideline, talking. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It never has. The job is not
Jack
finished.
Sawyer smiling at the camera.
Yeah.
Cutting up.
You still have work to do. Like, there's still work to be done here. I think Oregon's coaching staff is better than Ohio State's coaching staff personally. If people want to disagree with that, that's fine. I do think, like I said, Ohio State is more talented. One stat that I found really weird, Dylan Gabriel has thrown 1 touchdown pass over 20 yards to the right this year. He's not good at throwing the ball to the right deep. That was in the Ohio State game. So do I think he does that again? No. But people also remember, there was an interception earlier in that game that was 100% an interception. Did not get reviewed, did not get changed. That Oregon intercepted on Ohio State. Ohio State went down and scored there. There was a lot of weird stuff that happened in that football game. I think this is a fast track. I think this is a very high-scoring game. I think it's going to go over. I'm going to take Ohio State to win the football game, but I'm not going to take them to cover. I think this is just going to be a reverse of what happened last time. Oregon won 31-30. I think Ohio State won 31-30 at the Rose Bowl. I think it's a really damn good football game, and would not shock me if Oregon won again. We'll see what happens. But I do think Howard will make a little bit more plays with his legs and his arm this time than Dylan Gabriel. But it would not shock me if Dylan Gabriel does. Dylan Gabriel, listen, he's not a great football player as like a pro prospect, but he's a really good college football player, and he's a gamer. He will make the plays he needs to make. I think Will Howard is starting to develop that a little bit as well. He played pretty damn well, actually, in that Tennessee game. But I'm going to take Ohio State to win this game 31-30. So I'm going to take the over, and I'm going to take Oregon plus 2.5.
That surprises me. With the way you were talking, I thought you were going to take Oregon.
I just think the talent overcomes here. It would not shock me. Honestly, I'm going to say this. If there's a blowout in this game, I think Oregon blows out Ohio State. I don't think Ohio State's going to blow out Oregon. I just don't see that happening. But I do think Ohio State's going to win the game. But we'll see what happens. I think it's going to be a really good game. I think it'll be the best game of the most fun game. Also, the Rose Bowl is just awesome. I don't care what people say and hate on it. Yeah. The scenery of that game's beautiful. It's always warm. The field is always pristine. Everyone that I know that has gone to the game said it's like the most beautiful thing they've ever been at. So I want to go at some point. I'm going to go. And I can't wait to watch it.
Yeah, for sure. The Rose Bowl is like one of those things. It's like it feels overrated until your team's playing in it, and you're like, okay, I get it. This is about as good as it gets. It's like Nike stuff. Like when I feel like you're like, oh, they put a Nike check on it. Now these $2 socks now cost $10, you know. But I got my Nike socks. I thought those are my best socks, you know. So it's like I can't. Sometimes it is worth the hype.
Yeah. This next game is going to be, I think it's interesting. Boise State, 11 points, underdog here versus Penn State, 53. I'll hit on this one first. I think this game is a lot like the Arizona State-Texas game. They have really damn good running backs. I think Genty's the best running back in college football. I think Scadabo's the second best running back in college football. And it basically comes down to, can you stop Ashton Genty in the backfield if you're Penn State? I will say this. I think because of the injuries Arizona State has with Jordan Tyson, I think Boise State has better wide receivers right now than them. I also think Mattis Maxon can make, or Mad Max, whatever you want to call him, will make a little bit more plays with his legs than Sam Levitt. I get a weird feeling in this game. I don't love Penn State. They're a really weird football team, and they did not impress me at all in that SMU game. SMU lost that football game to more than Penn State won it. Kevin Jennings literally just decided to throw to the people in the wrong jersey in the game. They didn't do anything where like they out-schemed him or anything. He just played god-awful football. I will say this, though. It is in a dome, and we've seen when Penn State's in a dome, that offense tends to go off. They went off versus Oregon. They went off last year versus, I think they played Michigan State in a dome, and Drew Aller went off in that game as well. So he plays really well in a dome, which is weird because the guy has a really good arm. He should play well no matter what the elements are, and he's a big dude. So that's interesting to me. I think Ashton Jeanty has a better game than people are expecting him to have because I think people are going in this game are thinking, now he's going to rush for 30 to 40 yards. I wouldn't shock me if Ashton Jeanty runs for 75, 80 yards in this game, but I don't think that's enough. I'm going to take Boise State to cover this football game, but I'm going to take Penn State to win this football game. I think Penn State wins the game 30 to 20. So I'm going to take the under here, and I'm going to take Penn State or Boise State to cover in this game.
Yeah, I don't disagree with much of what you said. I feel like, especially like it was weird. It was like Penn State, like it looked like they dominated SMU, but at the same time, they didn't even really seem to play well. It was a very strange game. I'm probably with you. SMU probably just gave that game away more than anything else because they did kind of move the ball, but they just kept turning it over. I just feel like Penn State. It feels like I've joked about them all season. I've called them the properly rated Penn State Nittany Lions, right? It's like they just don't overthink how good Penn State is. When they play the elite of elite teams, they're not as good. I just don't think they stack up with the elite teams. But when they play anyone who's not elite, they take care of business. And especially just kind of the matchup here, like for being this G5 team facing Penn State, like it's going to be a team that's run first, that's got the best running back in college football. Like that doesn't seem like a great matchup going against Penn State, a team which is the run defense this year wasn't quite as good as it's been in years past, but it's still Penn State and they just always have a really good defense. I just don't think this is a great matchup for Penn State. I think Penn State wins this one and covers. And I'm going to take the under. I think this could be kind of a 28-14 type of game. Like I don't know. Oregon or Boise State's offense has been, really good at times, and their pass game has been a little underrated. But I think going up against Penn State, when Penn State has the true talent advantage in games, they just seem to always take care of business. So give me the Nittany Lions to win and cover.
Yeah, when I was a little kid, my heart might be speaking because Boise State was my second favorite team. I love the field. I love Kellen Moore. I love Doug Martin. I loved all those wide receivers out there as well. So my heart may be speaking there. I'm definitely going to be rooting for Boise State. I don't hate Penn State. But yeah, give me Boise State plus 11. Don't love it, but we'll see how we do on this. We disagreed on the final two games, so that is good. We have a little bit of separation there between the first two games. We were on the same page just like last week, so we've separated a little bit. But again, guys, please hit that like button. Please subscribe down below. We will be back not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after. Every Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, we're talking SEC football, so please join us with that. He is Matt Green. You can check him out on the there is his Twitter. I am Matthew Miller. Can you please check me out at the Texas channel and the SEC channel? And that is my Twitter as well. It's been fun hanging out with you guys. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. And we will be back in 10 days, something like that. 2 weeks. I don't know. It's the holiday season. I forget time. It does not exist around this time. So just enjoy it with your family. And thanks for watching.
Yes, sir.